Good morning and welcome to our live crafting session this morning. It is Monday, the 21st of August 2023. If you're watching live, do say hi. It's lovely to know who has joined us. And if you have any queries or questions as we go along, don't hesitate to pop them in the comment section. Hopefully, I will see them as we go along, if Facebook is playing the game. If you're watching on catch up or replay, then welcome to you. If you have any queries or comments or questions, again, you can also put those in the comment section, either on Facebook or on YouTube, depending on where you're watching from. Morning, Catherine. So my name's Jenny McCormack, and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire in the Midlands in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us today. I decided this week we're having a vintage style week where the cards will have the look of a vintage style card. Now that's interpreted in many different ways. It could be your colour choice, it could be the stamps, for example, that you use, the images that you create. You can make it quite clean and simple, or you can really layer it up for a full vintage style. These are the two cards that I prepared for Coffee and Card on Friday, and the ladies in Brackley had great fun with their designs. I did pop up a post of those. I'm trying to think if it was on Instagram or Facebook. I think it was Instagram. So you can always check that out. These two were done with completely different sets of products just to show you what you can use. And very typically, if you are into stamping already, you probably already have stamps that you could use to create this effect. You can also use lots of different layers, you can use ribbons, you can use printed backing papers. Morning, Kerry, or good evening, late afternoon, Kerry, I guess for you. So there's lots of different things you can do. So just to show you some of the sets that you could use, this one here, I've used the artistically inked around the outside, and this is what I used the previous week. And then we've got the flowers from, I want to say Wildflower Meadow, Quiet Meadow even, that was close, wasn't it? This is a great set for vintage style because you've got these little dots, you've got some broken up text, you've got this set of flowers, you've got little flowers, and you've also got this larger one here, and some nice sentiments to go with it. So for this particular one, I actually stamped some different words on the background, but I used those flowers and the artistically inked. Now you might be wondering where this die cut has come from. This is from the Gorgeously Made set of dies that actually matches the Gorgeously Made stamp set, which by coincidence is actually what we're using for our class this month. Hi Caroline! And this has got some flower images, but it's got some really useful broken text here, a couple of small star sentiments, and then you've also got this piece here. Now you might be wondering how that was created, and that was actually done by somebody finding one of the artists had a spiral bound notebook, and basically they did a bit of like brass rubbing. They put a piece of paper on the top, they used a pencil, and you can see the lines, so that's how that was actually created. But to go with this, there's some great dies. So we've got this one here that cuts out details, this one with this lovely foliage, we've got this one that cuts an uneven edge, so if you're not very good at tearing, that could be your saviour. And then we have this one here, and this is the one that creates the little top for the note card. And basically what I did was I cut a panel of card about 6 inches wide, a little bit less, and then I put this across the whole panel of card, and then once it was die cut, I cut this into 3 pieces, so I had plenty for the design. Okay, it also has some other little tags and things like that. Okay, so that's called Gorgeously Made. So let me show some stamp sets that you could use for this technique. So obviously this one, Quiet Meadow. This is a really good one that I get out every so often because it's got words, it's got splatters, excuse me, and a nice set of flowers. You could use On the Ocean. You've got this here that you could use, or this one for the background. Colour and Contour, that's also got some dots and some floral elements. Layering Leaves you could use because that's also got some dots and foliage. Oops. Nature's Prints, always a good one. It's got these stunning images. It's got some splats of ink as well. The fern was the fern that I used on this one here. I don't know if you can see the splats in the background. I'll show you those when I come to do the card. And you could also use botanical layers, which I think is what I'm going to use partly of today. So let's get cracking. I'm going to design my background first, and I'm actually going to use Highland Heather. So my colour for this is going to be purples. I've got a couple of those ready to go, and some labels. So the first thing I'm going to do is create my background. See what Catherine says. Oh, Butterfly Basics would work. Morning, Brenda. Thanks for joining us. So, I'm going to do my background first. And you can literally use anything for your backgrounds. Okay? Because you're not going to see all of it for starters. So, let's use the Gorgeously Made. And I'm going to use this set of words. What's really nice about this is it's all broken up. So if you don't stamp it correctly, it doesn't matter. Nobody will actually know. It's designed to look like that. Let's find a block that fits. There they are. And you could even stamp this upside down. I don't think anybody would know. You can just about make out a few words, and it's the small piece that's at the top. So all I'm going to do for our background is just stamp some of these words. Like so. Maybe put a little bit up in the top there. And you can sort of fill in the gaps if you want to. Now the centerpiece is going to have our panel on, so I'm not too worried about that, but what you could do is do that all the way over. What I'm actually going to do is add in some other bits and pieces. So let's use, we've got these dots here from Quiet Meadow. But we've got plenty of stamp sets that have got dots and things in them. So this is just our background, like so, to create that. Put a little bit up here, like so. Okay. So there's other things you can do with this to make this look more vintagey if you wish. So you could add a little bit of ink. So this is my purple blending brush. Just make sure you can see that okay. Oh, I haven't got my side light on. There we go. So you can add in some blending around the edge. And it really depends on your you know, your style. So if you are a clean and simple person, doesn't like it too fussy, you can literally keep it exactly like that. Just don't go overboard. But equally, if you like a lot of layers, you could add another layer in, you could add more ribbon. There's all sorts of things. This is going to go onto a white card, but you could also layer that up as well if you want to. You could tear these edges as well to give it a torn look down one side, across the bottom, all sorts of combinations that you could do. So I think that's going to work for my base layer, and I have got craft cards as well as white note cards. So that's one option. And that's the other. I think I'm going to stick probably with the white. Okay, not going to attach that just yet. So that's going to be my base layer. Then I'm going to bring in a panel that I'm going to work on. So the first thing I can do is I can do a little bit around the edging. Like so. And then what I'm going to do is stamp my sort of the main images and then just add detail around them. Just be careful with these at the top because obviously they're quite delicate. Okay, now what you can do is, if you're feeling brave, is I'm going to tear the bottom to make it look as if this piece has been torn out of a notepad. You could also scuff this up here if you wanted to. So you can see it's already beginning to look slightly more vintagey. Okay, let's add some more words onto here. There we are. Oh, let's swap those over. And I'm going to stamp these slightly lighter. And in fact, what I am going to do is, what am I going to put in the middle? I think I'm going to use this really pretty element from Botanical Hairs. Now, if you've watched me for any time recently, you'll know that I use this for all sorts of things. I used it last week for the trees coming down around the giraffe. It's just a really useful stamp. So I think what I'm going to do is have these coming up from the bottom. So this is Highland Heather. So one of the useful things about doing vintage is typically, depending on what era, you would use one set of colours. You could even just use one ink pad, which is what I'm doing here. This is just such a pretty little stamp, and it's useful that it's got separate pieces so that you can just pick out the elements that you want. I've got a little bit of extra there. Got a bit carried away with my inking, but I'm not worried about that because I'm going to add some of these words. Now what I'm going to do is stamp the words off and just stamp them lightly, like so. There we go. I bring that up to the screen. We put it on here. Hopefully you can see that a little bit better. Okay, let's put some words at the top, like so, and then I'm just going to add a few dots on there as well. And again, just stamping off, and quite a lot of our forgot to stamp off. Quite a lot of our sets have dots in them. There we go. Happy with that. Okay, so I can either stamp a larger sentiment in here, or I could stamp an image, or I could stamp a sentiment on my strip and add a little bit more foliage in here. Let's have a look. I don't really want to cover up this here, and also you can go at a jaunty angle like so. So I think what I'm going to do is stamp something else in that centre panel. But I don't want it to detract from all of this. So I'm thinking I might use this one here. This is Nature's Prints. A really good all-round one to go to. Morning, Jill. And I'm just wondering if that would... Yeah, I think that would work on there. So just popping that on a block, and I just want to stamp this. Yeah, I think that will work. Come on. So remember, I've got my torn edge across the bottom. I think what I'm going to do is just stamp the top of that bit. There. Okay. Because I want my panel to go across here, like so. Okay, so because I've stamped over this, I've lost that sort of raw edge. So what I'm actually going to do is tear it again to get the white edge. So if you want the white edge, you want to hold it, I'm right-handed, so hold it in your left hand and tear towards you on the right. Okay, so now you've got more of a white edge, if you can see that. Whereas the other side, there's no difference. Obviously white on white, you wouldn't see any difference anyway. Okay, let's add a little bit of baker's twine and a sentiment. And I tucked some baker's twine down here somewhere. I might change it to white. I did get some crumb cake. So let's see. I think that would work quite nicely size-wise. Let's see if I think the thank you from Gorgeously Made might just fit in there. It does. Okay, so I hope everybody had a good weekend. The weather was certainly lovely on both days, really. We did have rain showers on Saturday. Oh, that wasn't very straight, was it? Let me grab another one, because that will annoy me. I could do it on the back, but this has got little dots in there. Let me find another one. If I can. Yes. There we go. Take two. So this one just slightly down on the left. This stamp, the way it's cut is slightly high. I don't know if you can see that. So I was trying to adjust. Let me just try this on using a line for reference. Yeah, it does go down very slightly. So high, bring it down a bit, tilt it slightly. Not much better, is it? Never mind, it's Monday morning. There's my tape. Let's clear this a little bit, see what we're doing. Okay, so this is, I'm going to put this flat. Now you can scuff the edges as well, and if you're not very good at tearing, you can use some scissors down the edge, just the blade of the scissors, but please be careful. We used to have a really great tool from Stampin' Up that was, I'm trying to find mine, I've got it here somewhere. I keep asking that we get it back. You never know, it might come back one day. Here it is. So this had a blade, so you could do cutting with it. And then it has, if I can get this one open, a perforating tool. And then it also has this here that you could use for scuffing the edges. So this is just like almost like a blade on the side. So you could, in the same way that you could use scissors, but it was a lot safer. You could just scuff these edges like so. So, but the alternative is, please be careful, grab a pair of scissors and run those carefully around the edge, so you get the similar effect. It was called a distressing tool, I'm sure. So yeah, there were scissors, oh, there was a bone folder, a creaser rather, and a perforating tool. Maybe I need to mention it to again. Okay, so I'm going to pop this onto our card base. Like so. Morning, Fran, sorry. Only just seen your comment. Apologies. I hope you're keeping well. So this is going to go onto there with some glue, and your glue of choice really. And this is got some glue in it, always good. So this is, I'm using a note card and envelope. See which way round that was. As I say, with that text it really doesn't matter. Okay, this is going to go onto here, but I'm going to wrap some baker's twine around it. I think I might do the baker's twine at the bottom here. Like that. There we go. Let's forget to put that back in for coffee and card though. So I'm just going to tie a little knot, and then you can choose if you want a bow. Like so. If I've got enough, I'll do a little bow. Pull that tight. Find the scissors I've just put down. There we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to angle this, or am I? I'm going to move this around a little bit so it's a bit further over. There we go. Yep. So I'm going to pop this on with dimensionals. So you could put it flat, entirely up to you, but I'm going to pop some dimensionals on. So vintage style, just think 1 or 2 colours, but try and keep them close to, close together in tone. And just look through your stamps and see what you've got. Very often you can use edges of things, edges of flowers. Okay, there's that one. And then my thank you is going to go across there. And I'm going to pop that on with some dimensional edges. So I've just, where do I want it to go? I'm going to put one on the edge here. And small one at the top, just so it straddles a bit of that twine. Not that there's much height to it, to be honest. There we go. And I will stamp the inside. Just going to add the little bit of this across the bottom, I think. And I have rather over inked it, and my cloths are all ready for this afternoon, so I'm just going to be a little bit, hopefully a little bit careful, like so. Like that. And this in up here, and some dots, I think, and maybe even the text. So you can go to town if you wish. So I stamp that off. There we go. And let's add the text, and then we're done. 10:29. Okay, so again I'm going to stamp this off. There we go. Cover up the ink before I do anything else. So that's the inside, and we'll do the envelope as well to match. Lift that up so you can see it, hopefully. Let me just see what Kerry's written. Oh, bless her. Kerry's lost all sound. I know she has problems with her internet when watching us live. So that's the inside. That's the outside. You could add a bit of bling on there if you wanted to. Generally, you don't tend to have a lot of bling and things like that, gems and that on vintage cards, but there's nothing to stop you doing that. So let me show you the other two. So all very different, but really exactly the same technique. You could use background paper So if you haven't got coloured card, you could use some paper and stamp onto that as well. Let's just finish with the envelope and then we're done, she says. I find one. Yep. So I'm going to do the back of the envelope in the same way. So I won't be here on Thursday live, which is my normal time, because I will be in, well, hopefully I will be in Las Vegas for the Stamping Up Backstage, which is the leadership conference. So I'm travelling out on Wednesday. If I get the opportunity, I will try and record a session, but I've got a lot to get done. I'm waiting on components for the class in the box so they can be packed ready. Currently they're still sadly in Germany, so I'm not sure they're going to get here in time. And then I'm also preparing for an event at the weekend when I get back. So if I have an opportunity, I will pre-record a live that will go live on Thursday. So there's the backing, and I'm just going to do the same thing here, just because it's so pretty. My mum would like this. My mum always loved purples and lilacs, and this would definitely be one that I would have sent to her for sure. There's that, and just to put a few dots on. Let's turn those around. There we go. Let's move that out of the way, show you the finished project. So there it is. So I used some of the Gorgeously Made. I also used Quiet Meadow. So there's our front, there's our inside, and our pretty envelope. So I hope you like those. I hope you're able to give them a go. As I say, you probably have stamps in your stash if you're a stamper already, and if you don't have stamps, you could definitely use papers. Just cut some papers down and layer them up, tear them up, so that you've got nice edges. Use a little bit of blending brush or a bit of ink colour. You could splatter some ink on there as well. There's all sorts of things you could do. Add a little bit of ribbon. I've used baker's twine because then I can take it in lots of different colours. So thank you so much for joining me this morning. Thanks Caroline, thanks Brenda. Let's see who else has commented. I haven't got my phone next to me. Kerry's got, God bless her. Fran, Catherine, Jill, and anybody else who's watching that hasn't said hi, but I can't see you because I haven't got my phone to hand. So thank you so much for joining us. As I say, I won't be here live on Thursday, but I will try and record something, and if not, I'll send you some photographs from our conference in Las Vegas. And I won't be here next Monday morning either, because I'll be on the plane on the way home, all being well. So I will catch up with a live at some point early next week, possibly Tuesday or Wednesday, and then we're back to normal. So thank you so much everybody. Do take care. I look forward to crafting with everybody at our toaster session this afternoon and our Brackley session tomorrow morning. Really look forward to that, and I'll share some of the projects from there with you. In the meantime, have a great week, and I look forward to catching up with you on my return. Thank you so much everyone. Do take care, and bye for now.